Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams. Hey everybody, this is L.A. Williams, and this is obviously, as you know, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, where we talk just a lot about making money, right? One of the biggest things that happens in this industry is, sometimes people come in and, they want to make money, but for some reason, they don't really have the resources, they don't have the know-how. They always say, treat it like it's your own business, but it's not like it's your own business, it is your own business. So in order to kind of get that message across, I always want to bring guests here that I know are, successful in their own way, shape, or form. And I want them to, kind of talk to them. I want you to hear their story and what they're bringing to the table. So today on the podcast, we got my main man, Mr. Josh Leader. What's going on, Josh?
What's going on, LA? Thanks for having me.
So I'm super excited to have you on the podcast today. Man, Josh is such a cool dude, man. I remember hanging out with him at the Internet Sales 20 group. We had a table together. And then most recently, he had his wife. They came out to the office and, we were talking. And I noticed that you have a mantra, Josh, that says some people are successful because they're destined to, but most people are successful because they are determined to, right? So tell us a little bit about that and kind of just, fill in the gaps. Tell us a little bit about your personal story.
Okay. So just to start off with the quote that you just had is, bottom line is if you want to be successful, you got to have that determination. In the United States and the world, there are going to be those people that have the paved pathways, but that's not the most of us, right? So you've got to, put your, elbow to the grindstone and do what you got to do to get to where you want to get to. So that's kind of why I like that quote. And that's kind of starts off my meeting with people that, don't know me so well. So just to give you a quick snapshot, I'm living the American dream, as I like to say. I was adopted to the United States of America from Korea, 6 years old of age, to single, good parents, one working, one stay-at-home mom, a police officer that served in the Army, and raised in a small town, and kind of grew up real good family life, and then kind of ventured off into went to school, had a child, and then got blessed with the car business. So that's kind of been a quick snapshot. So
cool, man. Awesome stuff. So what's your expertise? What do you do?
My expertise would be the kind of in the marketing realm in the car business for dealerships.
Right. Okay. Cool. So tell us more about that. How, was it something that you just, because you said you got blessed with the car business. So tell me more about how did you decide that, marketing is like the thing?
Well, I went to school to study marketing at the University of Oregon, and while at school, things happened and so forth, and we got pregnant, and so my son was going to be born. So I left school early, and it happens, but never change what happened.
There you go.
Son.
There you go.
And so I left school, and one thing led to another. Met a guy that was a general manager of a car dealership, and he kind of took me under his wing. That was in the end of '96, beginning of '97, so about 22 years ago. And if you can recall going back that far, that was like at the very early stages of what we call the internet, right? Mm-hmm. And so it was a transitional stage in the car business, a huge transitional stage. You heard this roar about what the internet was, and the car guys, the car dogs that were training me. They were really, you fear the unknown, so they were kind of scared of it. And so that as that transition was going on, I just felt that, goodness, this is a great tool. This is a great opportunity here. So the late '90s, early 2000s, I kind of transited from what we know as the retail up system into the internet realm. And just finding a way to be able to use that as leverage to increase the business.
Good stuff. So millionaire car salesman, basically what he said was he saw an opportunity. He saw a trend, that a lot of people were afraid of, and he just took it on head on. That's beautiful stuff. So when it comes to marketing, right? What's something that we don't know as millionaire car salesmen that we probably should?
Well, the thing that we don't know that's not talked about when you're first brought into the business quite a bit, even in this day and age, fast forward 22 years from when I first got into it, is you are your own business. You have to market yourself, right?
Right.
We're in a people business, and people want to do business with people that are known and people that do a good service. And it's so important to market yourself, you know, versus marketing, just allowing the dealership to market itself and you work for the dealership. You're your own entity, right? I've always looked at the car business as your business within a business, and how would you market a business? Or are you just going to sit there and hope people come?
Mm. That's crazy, right? But that's what most people do. That's what we're taught. That okay, because it's almost like a tie between being an employee. Of course, you got this pretty dealership if you work at a nice dealership, and it's like okay, people just supposed to come to we think that the dealership is supposed to do that stuff, and just because the dealership is there, just like and I'm just gonna kind of give you two from the basic point of view. McDonald's is there, people just show up, but truly McDonald's markets, don't they? Y'all ever seen a McDonald's commercial? You know what I'm saying? It's like they market all the time, and so
Absolutely.
that's beautiful stuff. All right, cool. So tell us about your worst millionaire car salesman moment to date. Like, what's something that's like, kind of hit you right there in the gut that happened to you that you overcame?
Well, in this business, it's you always want to think the grass is greener on the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got into business. I did really well. Started selling a lot of cars. Was a 20 car guy and sold a few cars. Then I thought I knew it all. There it goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and left the foundation I built at the dealership I started at. Had repeat referral business and took off to be a manager. Followed a guy. And had the blinders on, thinking, "Hey, I'm gonna change the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna change the world." Went to a Chrysler dealership, to a small Chrysler dealership, thinking I'm gonna take it over, and then it hit me. I'm not, I'm not the one that makes everything happen, right?
Mm.
So that was kind of my first lesson in the grass is greener, and that was kind of a eye opener for me. So and essentially the reason I'm saying this is there's people that jump around, and I wouldn't change anything that's happened in my life, but when people get into the car business, I always say, hey, one thing I would have done differently is I would have found a home, laid my bed, and been a salesman my whole career.
Mm.
So so that was kind of my and of course the all the carrots that they hang, and then of course they don't ever follow through with it. So that was my little.
So, and I'm just thinking, man. So, what was the care? I mean, I know you felt like you knew it all, but was it a financial excitement? Was that the green that you saw, or what was?
Yeah, hey, you're gonna get this store. I'm getting ready to retire. You're gonna make all this gobs of money, and what's said and what's written. There was nothing written. It was all said, and I believed. I fell for it, and the truth be told, that wasn't the case. So. That was a lesson for me to learn the hard way. I left a great situation and ran into a kind of a train wreck.
Got you. So, and this is really powerful stuff, man, because even my mother told me, if you're dealing with divorces and things like this, she's like, get everything in writing. You got to get it in writing. So that's huge. That people definitely need to learn and get out of that. So after that, right? How did you recover from that? Tell me, did you go back to the original store? What did you do? And then, what kind of started the launch pad?
Well, I then realized that, maybe it's not at all sought out to be to just follow whoever, and so you got to find a good place, a good home that's got a good reputation and sells a good product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I chose to do. I sought out a dealership back in my hometown, and I ended up at an Acura dealership that was that had the largest chain group in Oregon. That's where I'm from, and went back into sales and worked my way back up into management.
Okay. All right, cool. So what's one of the greatest ideas that you had, like an aha moment that moved your career forward exponentially?
The aha moment. When I realized that, people, all the salespeople around me would ask me, "Hey, what are you doing different? How are you getting out there, right?" And I used to think, well, I can't tell anybody this stuff, right? Or they're gonna soundboard me. They're gonna get better than me. My aha moment was when I started helping people. Is when I started to grow, and that's when I started to flourish in the car business. So, helping others was my aha moment. Learning that helping others really helped me grow and become a better car person.
Wow. That's pretty good stuff. And it kind of reminds me of a quote from Zig Ziglar. I mean, he says, help enough other people get what they want and you'll get what you want. Right. So that's huge. That's good stuff. So, so what's the major takeaway that you want our listeners to receive from your aha moment? I mean, I know it's obviously about helping people, but maybe you can dive deeper into that.
Well, in this industry, it's a team built of individuals, right? Mm-hmm. So I would never say stop being an individual, but be a contributing member of a team as well. And you will find yourself to be more successful, and success breeds success, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. They always say, your closest 5 people around you is who and what you become, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the biggest takeaway I can give. Build others, and in return, it will build you.
Awesome stuff, man. So check it out. So you were in Oregon, and then so now you're at Sands in Arizona, right?
Yes.
All right. So how that transition happened? Tell me about that.
Well, I obviously the automotive went through a little blurb back in 2008, 2009. Mm-hmm. And went through a little times up in Portland. I was married, got divorced, and I have custody of my son. He's 21 now. Let's fast forward that. So back in, him and I, he was about to go to high school, and we decided, this is an opportunity to make a move. We've always liked the sun, and so we made the move to Arizona back in 2011 when he's going to be a freshman in high school. So we packed up and moved down here. And
cool.
The beautiful thing about the car business is, for me anyway, I felt confident enough. I can just show up anywhere and sell cars. And I've been in management for a while, so I figured, Phoenix is a great spot. Came down here, got back into the car business in 2011, down in Phoenix. So that's kind of how we got here.
Good. So now tell me, because honestly, everybody here, the listeners here, there's salesmen, there's managers, there's owners. But I'm just thinking about that salesman that's saying, man, I want to go from just, selling cars all my life, just selling cars. And then how do I get to a place where I'm actually, real income, I'm living a real life? How did you make your transition? Because I think you got some other things going on outside of, the car sales. Tell me about it. How'd you do that?
Well, you got to have a mentor. That's important. You got to read. You got to learn. You have to. It's a continual learning cycle, right? Mm-hmm. So I decided to become a sponge from anybody and everybody that I wanted a piece of the action, right? I wanted to become, that person. Mm-hmm. So I'd ask questions. I'd learn, right? And then when you start to do that, you formulate your own, what I call what's your why? What's your purpose? Why are you here, right? And then you begin to formulate that plan and start to follow through with it. I ran into Sean Bradley, the creator of this group for everybody, back in his second internet sales 20 group. I want to say it's 2012.
Wow.
So fortunate to kind of run into Sean, and as time went on a little bit, we kind of befriended each other, and he kind of took me under his wing as well. So that's kind of the angle I went at.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Sean shares with me about, some of his mentors and things like that. So Sean became a mentor. Who was your mentor before that?
My old GM, he that guy, he'd have some quirky things, but I worked at a Toyota dealership for 8 years before I moved down to Arizona, and he was a simple guy but very intelligent, and I would I actually bought his house from him when I lived up there, but I would talk to him, and he was more of the wise, the silent killer, I suppose. And he gave me good direction, helped me settle down a little bit, and understood about helping others and becoming successful through help of others.
Nice. That's good stuff, man. All right, cool. So let's talk about just, into the future and things like that. What do you have coming up that you're most excited about? Tell us about some of the projects, some of the different things you got happening right now.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's still kind of in the foundations in the works and so forth. But, my last name's Leader. Leaders like to lead, I suppose. And marketing is my background. I know I haven't talked a whole lot about marketing, but that's coming. So, I want to help everybody in the car business do better at what they do and get out there. So that's to come. Probably going to team up here with Sean Bradley. Throwing a little shout out to Sean, Dealer Synergy out there.
Oh, if he was here, he'd talk all about it. So you can talk about it.
That's the tip of the iceberg. So we're getting some things going together. Maybe some videos coming to a screen near you.
Okay. Some virtual training.
Possibly some virtual training.
Yeah, we can't call them videos, right? It's real virtual training. Like it's
virtual training. You're right.
Awesome. All right, so let's kind of do this. I want to kind of just go into a little bit of a money round, right? I want to talk about some key things that I really believe will help the millionaire car salesman nation out there. So, what do you think? What was the number one thing that was holding you back from becoming the you of today?
Really myself, belief that I belonged. You always second guess why this person got the promotion, why this person's doing so well. And when I decided to look in the mirror and said, give myself that you can do it, that's when it started to happen.
Wow. Yeah. And it's so crazy because last week on the podcast, we had Frank Cornetti, and he talked about that. He said, belief, is everything. He said that, he said he high fives the mirror. It was a whole lot of little pieces. You guys can go back and listen to that. But it was huge, the different things he was talking about. So that's good stuff. So I know you talked about mentorship. You talked about what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
There's a couple things my father told me. Honesty is the best policy, and being honest with yourself. That's what I mean by that. You can give all these excuses, but at the end of the day, you're in control of you and you're in control of your own destiny. And if you can't be honest with yourself, you're never going to succeed. And the other, I'd say probably be, treat others better than you treat yourself, really, because that's ultimately what gets you ahead in life.
Wow, that's a new one, man. I never heard anybody say that. They treat others better than you treat yourself. That's pretty darn cool. And I really believe that's a big deal. Like, because again, there are certain things that I would, I might deprive myself of that I wouldn't do that for somebody else, whether it be my wife, my son, different things like that. So that's huge, especially when it comes to customers and things like that. So, talk to me about a personal habit of yours that contributes to your success.
Well, it's kind of weird. Sometimes all the time, I have to have my time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take the long way to work or the long way home, so I can have a reflection. I have a pump up time on the way to work and a reflection time on the way home. I don't think it's right to do that when you're with your family. I like the work life. What I used to say balance, but Jeff Bezos came up with the circle thing, which is work life circle. That's where it's at.
Now
So,
you got to tell us
um,
more about that. You can't just like throw it out there.
well, there's no such thing as work life balance if you really look at it, because if work's bad, you go home. Home life is bad because you're frustrated from work. When you have a good work life circle, what that means is when the home life when it's good, you go into work, you're feeling good, you're pumped up, right?
Hmm.
And when you have work, when work's going good, you get home and you're excited, enthused, and it's just a nice ongoing circle. And it's a good rhythm,
Mm,
and so either can affect both in a positive way.
nice. That's what I'm talking about. Good stuff. All right. So share with me like your favorite internet resource, maybe like an app or something that you use that helps you be successful. And tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I'm really into inspirational and motivational stuff.
Hmm.
So I draw from a lot of people in this industry. Obviously, Sean, I've known over the years. He has a lot of input. Grant Cardone is one that I listen to.
Hmm.
Um, I've read a few of his books. Um, and believe it or not, Instagram's a good one. You can go to hashtag whatever, and you're going to find a lot of information. And it's just the snippets, right? They just kind of remind you, hey, where are you at? Where are you going? What do you want out of life? And at the end of the day, like I said, the onus is on you as an individual. And I always tell my people around me, my staff, my family, everybody, only you can change your state of mind, right?
Mm.
And you got to get your mind right. Your mind's got to be right, or nothing's going to be right.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. That's really good stuff. And yeah, you're absolutely right with the Instagram. I got a buddy that has it's called We Are Millionaire Minded. My buddy Hazik Ali, he's always, doing some powerful stuff on Instagram, like vision boards and all kind of cool stuff. So absolutely. All right. And now you mentioned reading earlier. What's give me a quick book that you, and I wouldn't say quick, I'm just saying something that you think of. What's one book that you recommend and why?
I don't read a whole lot, which I've actually that's one of my New Year's resolutions is to read more. With this day and age with the internet, jumping on, being able to quick articles and so forth. But
Mm-hmm.
I read Rich Dad Poor Dad back in the day
Mm.
when that first came out, and that kind of resonated with me a little bit. I also uh, I didn't read it all the way through. I hate to admit that to millionaire car salesmen, but
It's
you'll
all
hear
good.
Sean talk about 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's probably the cornerstone book it's actually en route to my house, so I can read that.
Okay.
Is going to be my next solid read.
Yeah, look, we got two books. I asked for one and we got two. That's awesome stuff. So, so real quick, I'm just thinking because you mentioned, not having to read or not reading a book all the way through. And I think that's one of the misconceptions that people have is, like you got to read from a book from A to Z. But Ty Lopez talks about it. He's like, listen, man, sometimes you just skim a couple pages because most books, I mean, they all got, very similar ideas. They got the setup, they got the this. And so I don't necessarily just believe in reading like the footnotes, like, from someone else. But a lot of times it's amazing. It's powerful. And, not to get too deep on folks where sometimes if you just pick up the Bible and you just flip to a page, you'd be surprised how it has the exact message that you need. It could be the same situation with a book like this. Sometimes I'll read a chapter or something like that just to kind of get my mind focused on something. So, listen, man, this has been really cool. What is a parting piece of guidance that that you got for our listeners, something that they should take away, in order to be a millionaire car salesman? Tell us about, I know you got some charity, you got a bunch of different things that you're working on, and I want you to share that stuff with the people.
Well, first of all, LA, thank you so much for having me on here. It's a blessing to be with you and be able to share a part of my story with everybody in the Millionaire Car Salesman group on this podcast. A few takeaways. I'd say, the first and foremost, you got to get your mind right. If your mind isn't right, nothing's going to be right. And you got to have your why. Why? Your purpose, right? So when you're out there, I see it all the time. Even in this group, sometimes people question themselves and what they're doing wrong, what they're doing. You know what? You're doing it. That's the key. You got to just keep doing it. Not everything comes easy, right? Nothing worth having isn't hard work. And you always, we hear it all the time. This person failed, success, failed, right? And you got to just keep pushing forward. You got to push through, and you got to have that, the mental toughness to know that if that person can do it, I damn well can do it, right? You got to push through the hard times in order to get to the good times. And then you also can't lose touch with living. You have to live. You have to live, right? Because what's it all worth if you sit there and grind blinders on and then one day you're going to look up and there's going to be nobody. There's going to be nothing. And you did all that for nothing. Right. So that comes into that work-life circle that I talked about. And that's when you ultimately arrive. Everybody, what's a millionaire, right? What's a millionaire, right? Everybody's millionaires, right? In their own mind. It's a monetary figure, but you can be rich and not there already, and it has a lot to do with your daily successes, your goals, your small, midterm, long-term goals. And just keep pushing. Don't ever give up. There's always this one quote that I love is, winners never quit and quitters never win. And that's so true, and especially in this business.
Nice. Man, look, the end of the podcast is on fire. That's going to be like the highest listened to section right there. We could just cut that and just, put that out. That was phenomenal stuff. I'm glad that you said all of that. So listen, I know you, when you mentioned the group, he's talking about the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook, that where you want to go in order to kind of connect with a lot of folks. But outside of that, I mean, Josh, where can people go to connect with you if they want to hear more about what you just kind of got set on fire talking about, and maybe even help you with some of your endeavors?
All right, so thanks for that. I've got obviously my Facebook account, my name, Josh Leader. I've got a page, Josh Leader, with that as well. I have an Instagram. It's at Leader for All. I just actually started that account about a month and a half or two ago, and that's more of my public figure business page.
So go like the page, people. Go like the page.
Yeah, go like the page if you can. That's more of my motivational, inspirational stuff. And there's a couple that I repost, but most of that stuff is just stuff that comes to my mind, and I create it and I post it up there. So share with me, add some comments and thoughts. I am Jay Leader on Twitter, and we got some more things coming. Leaderinmarketing.com. I just bought that URL. We're going to get some stuff up there. Got that going. It'll be coming to you soon. So please, enjoy the movement forward together with me. And I look forward to the future.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Josh. And so, like you said earlier, Josh, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And you've just been spending time with L.A. Williams and Josh Leader. Now, go be a millionaire car salesman.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like it, you love it, you want more of it, then don't wait for the next money show. Just go to bradleyondemand.com and take your career to the next level.
That's right. Keep it 100.